As the world outside was enveloped in a veil of gentle rain, Masuma, blessed with a day off from her college studies, found herself drawn to the soothing rhythm of nature's symphony. The cool breezes, carrying the scent of petrichor, danced through her open window, creating an ambience of tranquility and serenity. Leaving her assignment aside, she had gone to the kitchen. Rumeysa was at her friend's house, so Masuma decided to make crispy fritters and 2 special cups of tea before her mother returned. It felt like Masuma had found a new motherly figure in Rumeysa's form. To her, Rumeysa was everything: mother, father, friend, sister. Rafik also showered her with immense love. Tying her long chiffon scarf around her waist, she began preparing the fritters, humming a tune from her heart. While mixing the batter with the vegetables, her hair swayed gently with each movement. Suddenly, Masuma sensed that someone was staring at her. She turned around, first feeling a bit startled, then surprised. Both of them locked eyes for a moment. It had been 3 years since Hadi had seen Masuma in person. He remembered the day when she had listened to him talking to his mother, and he had been happy. He didn't want any misconceptions to fester in her heart. After that day, Masuma rarely showed up in front of him. Now, 3 years later, he was seeing her again, and he couldn't look away. She was not the same girl he had married for his mother's sake and later decided to divorce. She was someone else entirely. When he saw Masuma, it felt as if the princess of his dreams had stepped out of his fantasies and materialized before him. Seeing Hadi staring at her, Masuma averted her gaze at first, then turned back to her work. Mama isn't at home right now. She went to her friend's place, she informed while getting back to her tasks. Hadi's stern expression softened, and a sudden smile broke out on his lips. He suddenly remembered that this girl was his wife. He took a step towards her, his heart filled with an indescribable emotion. His steps seemed to guide him on their own, bringing him closer to her. He reached Masuma and paused, a smile forming on his lips as he greeted, "Assalamu alaikum." "Walaikum assalam," she responded with reluctance. She didn't even bother to look at her. She continued with her work. Her hands paused for a brief moment as Hadi approached. "How are you?" "I'm fine." Hadi continued the conversation. "How's your study going?" "Good," she replied. "Aren't you going to college today?" Hadi asked. "It's a day off," she answered. Hadi realized that Masuma didn't want to talk to him. She didn't even look at him for once. His handsome and charming face, captivating personality, and remarkable achievements had always garnered him attention from everyone, and he had never encountered anyone reacting to him in such a manner before. Already, he was spoiled with extreme love and attention. But all of this made him even more rude and selfish. Little did he realize that, not too long ago, he himself had been oblivious to her presence. Perhaps today was the first time in his life that he was conversing with him. However, her ignoring his presence like this was something he found quite unsettling. The smile faded from his lips, and his brows arched. He started to look at her more intently, trying to figure out if she was ignoring him or not. As he scrutinized her face, he realized her face exuded innocence and purity. Just as he was lost in his thoughts, Rumeysa's voice brought him back to the present. "Adi!" Rumeysa exclaimed. Since she couldn't believe that finally, she was seeing her son in front of her own eyes. Overwhelmed by a surge of joy, Rumeysa could barely contain her happiness. Her eyes sparkled with delight as she extended her arms towards Hadi, her heart brimming with affection. Hadi, his gaze lingering on Masuma for a moment, reciprocated his mother's embrace, the warmth of their reunion spreading through him like a comforting wave. Hadi had secured a prestigious job at a prominent software company even before completing his graduation. His career was flourishing, and he faced no concerns in that aspect. Around this time, he had also come to realize that he was genuinely becoming attracted to Masuma. Her dressing, mannerisms, and speech all seemed to align with his ideas. Despite wearing traditional attire like a salwar suit, she appeared remarkably beautiful and appealing. What struck him even more was her impeccable character. He was the only man who had ever entered her life, and he had willingly embraced this commitment. His mother had never allowed any other man to cast even a glance her way. He, too, had never been involved in any kind of relationship. Although his handsome looks attracted many girls, they often ended up disappointed. He believed that all of this would hinder his career, and thanks to Rumeysa's upbringing, he was cautious around girls. He firmly believed that premarital relationships were wrong and disapproved of casual interactions with girls. One evening, he decided to take Masuma for an outing. He went to her room, and without knocking on the door, he entered directly. The walls were painted with soft lavender, and the bed was dressed in a luxurious white duvet and pillows. Soft pink big plush in front of the bed. The windows were closed and covered with long curtains. A dressing table with a large mirror sits in one corner of the room. On it, all sorts of makeup accessories were organized neatly. In front of it was an off-white buckle dressing table chair. An entire wall is filled with bookshelves, mostly filled with novels. Rumeysa loved to read novels, and she made sure that Masuma loved reading novels. Masuma, who was studying, got shocked to see him suddenly enter. She thought Rumeysa had come. However, a frown appeared on her forehead.
Nice room.
Hadi commented after looking around her room. Then he fixed his eyes on her. Her long hair was braided. She was wearing loose long kameez with loose pajamas. Her scarf was lying on the bed. Masuma at first grabbed her scarf and wrapped it around herself. She looked at Hadi. Her eyes were laced with surprise and indignation. "What are you doing in my room?" she demanded. Hadi, caught off guard by her outburst, was at a loss for words at first, but he quickly maintained his composure. He said confidently, casually shoving his hands inside his pants, "My mistake. I was just looking for you." "Well, you could have knocked." Masuma snapped. She'd crossed her hands tightly on her chest, and her eyes narrowed. "Don't you know it's rude to just barge into someone's room without permission? Don't you have any manners?" Hadi was stunned to see the Masuma standing before him, radiating an aura of self-assurance that he had never witnessed before. He couldn't believe how much she had transformed over the years. The timid girl who would barely utter a word in his presence had blossomed into a woman who didn't hesitate to assert herself. He was happy to see such changes in her. Once again, he was proud of his choice. He was glad that, even this time, he chose what was better. "I'm sorry," he said, flashing his charming smile. Masuma, unfazed by his apology, bluntly asked, "What do you want?" Hadi, undeterred by her curt tone, plopped down on the edge of the bed and said, "Let's go for an outing." His tone was more commanding than inviting. Masuma looked at him with confused eyes. "An outing?" she echoed. Her brows furrowed. "Why?" Hadi shrugged as if it were an obvious suggestion, completely oblivious to Masuma's apprehension. "Why not? It's a nice day, and we could use a break from routine." Masuma remained silent. "What happened?"
What are you waiting for?
"Hurry up. Get ready." Masuma's face hardened.
Look, I don't want to go anywhere with you.
"You can go now." Masuma answered. Her voice was firm and unwavering. She got back to what she was doing before. Masuma's abrupt refusal and dismissive tone stung Hadi's pride, igniting a spark of anger within him. He strode towards her, his movements fueled by his frustration. Without a word of warning, he seized her arms, pulling her to her feet.
Hadi Suden change in de meanor kogt Masuma of guard.
His harsh tone and imposing presence sent a jolt of fear through her veins. Her eyes widened in alarm as he grabbed her arm, her heart pounding like a drum in her chest. "Who do you think you're talking to?" he inquired. His eyes narrowed. Masuma's breath caught in her throat. Tears welled up in her eyes, threatening to spill over. Hadi could see the terror in her eyes. He didn't mean to scare her, but his ego was hurt by her reckless behavior. Noticing her distress, he loosened his grip, but his voice remained cold and commanding. "There's nothing to cry for," he snapped, not wanting to admit his mistake.
Why are you crying?
Masuma remained silent, tears streaming down her face. No one had ever talked to her like this. No one. But he dared to do so.
Hadi impatience greu.
"Come on," he ordered, his voice laced with authority. "Get ready now." He didn't want to ruin his mood. To his surprise, Masuma didn't reply to him. Rather, she bolted out of her room.